December the 5th, 2021 หลวงพ่อโพสีสุริยะ Khemarato Satya Dharma Reflection. Continue to disperse the concentration. Don't maintain or dwell within oneself. That's gonna be suffering. Always fighting with the Vedana on and on. That's not the way. Uninvolved with non-attachment is to be given with the unbound constantly. Uninvolved with the non-attachment to the utmost. And in a way without limits, in a way with purification right away. Don't dwell within the mind with feelings. That is like dwelling within the Vedana feelings and insufferable. That which is not about the uninvolved itself. Let's purify without limits right away. Don't drop within oneself for too long. Don't drop within the body and the mind, form and formlessness, thought, recalls, feelings. This is like dwelling within karma, karmic difficulties, hindrances, obstructions, dwelling within suffering and insufferable. That which is not about the uninvolved is to be given without limit to purify samsara right away. Go on without limits continuously. Continue to purify onwards through the emptiness. The purification of the unbound is itself purification of the emptiness. Don't be limited to certain extents. Go on without limits in purification, continuously. This has nothing to do with any destinations. It has nothing to do with targets or destinations. Uninvolved even within the uninvolved itself. This is called purification of the emptiness. No traces that purifies onwards. Don't be stuck with just perception of the mind, seeing, knowing, that is perceiving. That which has nothing to do with the non-attachment is to be used to purify onwards. That which is not about anything within the uninvolved to be used to purify with the emptiness onwards. Non-attachment doesn't obtain itself. Continue with the purification through the emptiness. It will be beyond helping through unwinding and releasing. Purify through the emptiness. Non-attachment doesn't obtain itself. Purify through the emptiness continuously. Uninvolved even within the uninvolved itself is called purification of emptiness. Continue so. Don't be obsessed to use the mind to perceive with anything. Non-attachment doesn't obtain itself. Continue with purification of emptiness onwards. That which is not involving with the non-attachment is the purification of emptiness, to be given all together, purify to the emptiness and extinction all together. that which has nothing to do with the non-attachment to be given all the same, purifying through the emptiness and extinction altogether. Go ahead, share the essence of that which has nothing to do with the non-attachment to be given to the utmost. It's like sharing the Anupap, mighty force of purification to the utmost. Then it will enable to give ending for samsara, to help samsara truly, to help the beings truly. If that which has nothing to do with the non-attachment or not giving the extinction to the utmost is like compromising with the karmic habits, then it will turn into samsara. Let's use that which is not samsara to bless samsara. Use that which is not beings to help give ending for the beings. Use that which is not samsara to help give ending for samsara. Use that which is not the mind to help give ending for all minds. Use that which has nothing to do with the non-attachment, so that it will be purification of extinction and emptiness to the delusion about involvement, attachment or non-attachment, on and on. Use that which has nothing to do with involvement or uninvolvement, so that it will purify all the delusion about involvement and uninvolvement that is going on. That which has nothing to do with the non-attachment to be given all the same. With this, it will give ending to all the delusion to practice. Delusion in practices the mind, practicing Dharma. The delusion to practice is itself the samudaya. It is the cause of samsara itself. Let's end this delusion to practice that which has nothing to do with the non-attachment to be given all the same, so that it will give ending to the delusion to practice the mind. Uninvolved even within the uninvolved itself, well with it, so that it will give ending to all delusion to practice for both worldly and Dharma, so that it will give ending to the delusion to practice the mind and Dharma, so that it will be no obsession with just delusion to practice the mind and Dharma. The practice itself is the samudaya. Uninvolved even within the uninvolved itself, well, then it will cease the practice itself. The delusion to practice itself will be given ceasing. It will give ending to the delusion within the practice itself. that which has nothing to do with stillness or indifference, that which has nothing to do with the uninvolved, even within the uninvolved itself, well with it, so that there will be no dwelling within delusion or indifference, no drowning within such states. No grasping even to the non-grasping itself. It's not about grasping, non-grasping to the non-grasping itself, so that it will purify all the delusion to grasp or not grasping. Non-attachment to even the non-attachment itself, that is called the non-attachment that doesn't obtain itself. And continue without limits in purification altogether. Don't dwell within the stillness, don't drown within the stillness. It creates realm of existence. Don't dwell within indifference or drown within indifference. It creates realm of existence. Uninvolved even within the uninvolved itself, well with it, purify through the emptiness right away. Non-attachment to non-attachment itself, uninvolved even within the uninvolved itself, purify through the emptiness instantly, through the extinction instantly. Awakening that has nothing to do with itself, plong or brightening has nothing to do with itself. With this, it will be the power that is immeasurable to help give ending for samsara. It's the power to break through, to help. Non-attachment has nothing to do with itself. Uninvolved has nothing to do with itself. It will be beyond the power that is normally given. It will be beyond the power of mindfulness, contemplation, concentration, supernatural power, or any power within samsara that's formed up by oneself. That which has nothing to do with the uninvolved itself, it will be beyond power that is formed up by oneself. Form up the conclusion to purify onwards, then there will be automatic purification within and without. Purify, form up the thought to purify, then everything will be accordingly through purification. Don't make oneself stern, reserved, holding on to realms of existence within oneself. Why is so? Because it's not useful for samsara at all. That which is not about uninvolved, even within the uninvolved itself, form up to make a conclusion constantly, then it will purify extensively accordingly. It will purify the titi within itself. It will purify the opinion, seeing and knowing, which is deluded all by itself, uninvolved even within the uninvolved itself. Non-attachment that has nothing to do with itself. It will purify through the extinction and emptiness within the non-attachment itself, within the uninvolved itself. Uninvolved even within the uninvolved itself. Form up this thought to purify onwards. Then the purification of extinction and emptiness will be in such a way, without involvement. By the uninvolved even within the uninvolved itself, accordingly. It will help through the unwinding and releasing by the uninvolved, which is not involved with itself, accordingly. By the uninvolved, even within the uninvolved itself, it will help through the unwinding and releasing accordingly. It will turn into the purification of extinction and emptiness altogether. Don't make oneself silent, holding on to stillness and equanimity in the realm of existence within such states. Even uninvolved has nothing to do with itself. Even non-attachment has nothing to do with itself. Then it will be purification of emptiness and extinction automatically. By the non-attachment that has nothing to do with itself, it will turn into the purification of extinction and emptiness accordingly. The mantra of Nirodha and Nibbana is given, giving ending to help samsara constantly. Non-attachment, even to the non-attachment itself, it will give purification through the emptiness and extinction to the desire that is here and there. All the straying through thoughts, recalls, emotions and feelings, these are the desire that is straying here and there. The obsession with fixation and involvement is the desire that is straying here and there. Non-attachment, even to the non-attachment itself, there will be the purification of the extinction within such a non-attachment itself. Share the essence of the blessing to the utmost. Non-attachment, even to the non-attachment itself. This is non-attachment that does obtain itself, has nothing to do with itself. The mantra of Nirodha, mantra of Nibbana, is there to be given ending for samsara only. It will purify through the emptiness and extinction by the non-attachment to the non-attachment itself. by the uninvolved, even within the uninvolved itself. This is not about practicing. It's not about attempting to begin or to end anything. It's not about deludedly attaching or non-attaching anything. Uninvolved, even within the uninvolved itself, there will be purification of emptiness and extinction through such an essence all by itself. It will give ending to the cycle of birth and rebirth by this essence of uninvolved, even within the uninvolved itself. By the non-attachment, even to the non-attachment itself. It will not be about normality or abnormality automatically. It will not be about ordinary or not ordinary. Non-attachment, even to the non-attachment itself. It will not be about being ordinary or not, automatically. Automatically, it will not be about normal or not normal. This is called purification of extinction and emptiness, which is automatic. It will not be about anicca, dukkha, anatta all by itself, non-attachment, even to the non-attachment itself. It will have nothing to do with any conditions or any attributes, form or formlessness, body or the mind, all by itself. It will give ending for samsara by the essence of non-attachment, even to the non-attachment itself, samsara within the mind of all things, inside and outside. It will be by Nirodha and Nibbana automatically, by the essence of non-attachment, even to the non-attachment itself. Mind, even to mind itself. Mind, even with mind itself, which is nothing within mind itself. Mind that is not relevant to itself, mind that doesn't obtain itself. Non-attachment, even to the non-attachment itself. This is helping to give ending for samsara extremely. This is compassion and great compassion to help give ending for samsara and all beings. It will purify through the emptiness in all directions. This is not about being obsessed to sit with the sternness, within stillness, in the peace, in silence or equanimity. This is not drowning within stillness or indifference. This is not being obsessed with being stern. Uninvolved, even within the uninvolved itself, will turn into purification without traces. It's called Sunyata Mahanibbana, purifying samsara itself. Uninvolved purify itself. Uninvolved even within the uninvolved itself. Uninvolved purifying itself. My, even with my itself, is not about reaching anything. It is not about reaching or breaking anything through. My, even with my itself, there will be the extinction that purifies within there on its own. This is not about something that is reaching or not reaching anything. It is not about something being enlightened or not enlightened. This is Nirodha and Nibbana that is given absolutely here. My, even with my itself, then it will purify the delusion about attachment or non-attachment itself. It will give ending to the delusion about my or not my. It will give ending to the delusion about attachment or non-attachment. This is called my that does obtain my itself, non-attachment that does obtain itself. Make a conclusion to purify onwards, uninvolved even within the uninvolved itself. Non-attachment, even to the non-attachment itself, well with it. With this, it will purify all the states of desire that is straying here and there. All the fixation and involvement is the straying desire, the struggling realms. Striving realms. My, even with my itself, my that doesn't obtain my itself. This is very good in purification through the emptiness and extinction for samsara. Very well to give ending, to help one another. Uninvolved even within the uninvolved itself. It will not be about reaching or not reaching anything all by itself. This is not being obsessed with the samudaya. This is not to be obsessed, to be ambitiously proceeding on and on, to reach something or not reaching something on and on. Being enlightened or not enlightened with anything on and on. Don't be obsessed with such a ambitious proceeding. Uninvolved even within the uninvolved itself. Go ahead. This is not about someone who is being bound or being free. It's not about someone who is arising or ceasing. Someone who is liberated or not. Don't be obsessed with the samudaya that is soaring here and there ambitiously. Uninvolved even within the uninvolved itself, my even within my itself. Purify the delusion of someone who is being bound and being free, so that it will be truly aligned with Nibbana. It's not about something that is bound or free, as it is. It is not about something within arising or ceasing, as it is. My, even to my itself. non-attachment even to the non-attachment itself. Uninvolved even within the uninvolved itself. It will purify the desire that is trying to be bound or to be free. It will purify the desire that is struggling, striving to try to be liberated or not liberated from anything. Less mind, even within mind itself, this is the holiness of Nirodha through the purification of the extinction. Form and formlessness, all the states of mind, states of emotions, use the holiness of the extinction to purify right away. This is not the holiness of something that is hanging around the neck or within the wrapping things. Purify through Nirodha with this holiness right away. Mind, even with mind itself, purify all the form and formlessness state of mind right away. Mind, even with mind itself, this is the holiness by Nirodha, by the purification of the extinction. This is not about to create any holiness in anywhere. This is not about create holiness anywhere, to make tattoo anywhere. Purify through the extinction and emptiness right away, instantly. Mind, even with mind itself. Mind, even with mind itself. Non-attachment, even to the non-attachment itself. Uninvolved, even within the uninvolved itself. Don't be obsessed to create holiness anywhere. Uninvolved, even within the uninvolved itself, non-attachment, even to the non-attachment itself. Mind, even with mind itself. Uninvolved, even within the uninvolved itself. It will be purification without traces through the emptiness and extinction, through the essence of uninvolved, even within the uninvolved itself. It will help through the unwinding and releasing by this essence of uninvolved, even within the uninvolved itself, accordingly. Whatever that is bound tightly within the delusive attachment and delusion will be released totally. Mind within itself, non-attachment within itself, go ahead. Mind, even with mind itself, non-attachment, even to the non-attachment itself. Any condition, any attributes, any state doesn't obtain itself. Non-attachment doesn't obtain itself. This is not about enable to attempt to make it possible because it's not about grasping. The uninvolved, even within the uninvolved itself, is not the attempt to make it possible because it's not about grasping. Mind, even with mind itself, non-attachment, even to the non-attachment itself, that is non-attachment that doesn't obtain itself, is not about unable to make it possible. Uninvolved, even within the uninvolved itself, is not about gaining or not gaining anything. It's not about gaining or not gaining anything, uninvolved, even within the uninvolved itself. It's not about enable to make the mind or not, because it's not about gaining or not gaining anything. Uninvolved, even within the uninvolved itself, has nothing to do with that. Mind, even with mind itself, is called purification of emptiness and extinction, purification of Nirodha and Nibbana. Mind, even with mind itself, is not about gaining or not gaining anything. It's not about enable to practice or not. This is not about the delusion to gain or not gaining anything in the state of mind or Dharma. This is called not to become samutai, not to be deluded to arise or cease by itself.